Welcome back to Coming This Summer. Again, another audio edition of Coming This Summer. Happy New Year, everyone. Bean will be back tomorrow for a Cinemagasm where we bring in the news of the new year and see what happened last week in the movie world. But today we're talking about What If Season 2, which, if you're curious, was great. I think a nice step from the first season. We didn't really focus on a through line this time. It kind of focused more on Peggy Carter as a character and Captain Carter, her alias, if you will, Haley Atwell, starring as Peggy Carter.
Action!
Season 2 was great. Season 2 was awesome. I think I like Season 1's Big Bad more. Infinity Ultron is just like a really cool concept, but Strange Supreme, I believe, is what he's called, is the Big Bad in this. Spoilers, not spoilers, spoilers, but it's about 10 episodes, 30 minutes apiece, 9 episodes, I believe. So we're going to rank them. We're going to get into it. But yeah, stay tuned. So What If Season 2, doesn't follow a through line. The first season kind of followed a through line, like, come the, 7th episode, they started sprinkling, plot details in there. This one really doesn't, until probably 7 episodes in. The last 2 kind of follow that, through line plot. Well, okay, it's 3 episodes follow a through line. It's the Peggy Carter episode, 1602 Avengers, and then the finale are all pretty focused on Peggy Carter, who is the main character of What If, I'll say, other than the Watcher, Jeffrey Wright, from shows like Westworld. Very good season. We already got a promo for season 3, so I'm so glad they're making more of this. I think they keep perfecting the animation every time, if I'm going to be honest. It looked great. It looked fantastic, and I can't wait to see what Season 3 looks like. So let's get into each individual episodes. I think I'm just going to go with how I ranked them. My number 1 favorite episode was 1602 Avengers, which is what if they assembled in, the Dark Age, medieval times, Robin Hood, all this stuff, where it's just this one giant parody of itself, where there's the Royal Yellow Jackets and Roger's Hood, which is kind of the stupidest thing I've ever heard, but it was a pretty kick-ass concept, and I don't know why that wasn't explored as a full movie. I think if they went in a different direction in Infinity War and the snap caused some weird kerfuffle instead of wiping half the universe, I think this is what should have come out of it, is 1602 Avengers. And I think most people on the internet agree that that was the best episode, other than, of course, which my second favorite episode was the Christmas episode, where Happy Hogan and Darcy from the first, second, and third Thor movie, and fourth Thor movie, holy shit, I don't think she's in 3, actually, where they do a Die Hard against Justin Hammer, who takes over Avengers Tower, right after, it's right before Age of Ultron, I think, or right after. I'm not too sure. They don't have Wanda or Vision or Quicksilver. Oh, Quicksilver died, but they don't have them yet. So I think it's after the first Avengers movie when they're all still kind of bros. The Avengers haven't broken up yet, but they haven't gone through the Ultron thing. That was a great episode. It was a great Christmas episode. It dropped on Christmas Eve, I think. They did frame the whole season as a Christmas thing, but that was really the only part that was Christmas-y, I will say. But yeah, that one was my second favorite episode. My third was the first episode of the series, Nebula, a Nebula-focused episode where she becomes a Nova Corps member. I can't remember the episode because it was one of the first ones that came out, but it's something like Yondu dies, she has to investigate it, and the investigation leads to her, overthrowing the Nova Corps and, how it's become corrupt and stuff. And it reminded me of, if you watch the Obi-Wan show when he's down on Coruscant and, the Undercity of Coruscant, it reminded me of that. So anything that gives me, Nova Corps, Nova Prime, Xandar, that whole shebang, I'm totally in on. And Nebula is probably one of my favorite characters from the MCU. So, and Karen Gillian, I don't know how to say her name, but she was great. I don't know if she reprised her role. I'm pretty certain she did, but anyone can pretty much do a robotic voice. But that one was definitely high up on my list. Number 4, the Captain Carter episode was very good. Again, Haley Atwell as Captain Carter is the best. I'm so glad we got her actually in live action in Doctor Strange 2, which I am now just remembering that we did get her in live action, which is kind of badass. I don't think it's this Peggy Carter, but it is a variant of the variant of the variant, so who knows? The sequel is to the Captain Carter episode is basically a hodgepodge of Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier, and the Black Widow movie. So it's really cool to see like storylines kind of cross without like it being just Steve Rogers and Natasha, Black Widow and Captain America. It was definitely it was a pretty good twist on the plot line. So that one definitely comes in at number 3 or 4 for me. Number 5, the Hela episode. Hela has a falling out with Odin. And instead of Thor getting banished to Earth, it's Hela who gets banished to Earth. I can't remember the ins and outs of the details, but he basically curses the helmet and says, whoever, blah, 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 mercy, blah, 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 whatever. And it like shoots to Earth, and then Hela ends up on Earth as a mortal who has no powers. And she meets the Mandarin who has the 10 rings, which is like a very, very cool situation because we combine like the Shang-Chi movie with like Thor Ragnarok, and it's really cool like how they're like combining these like fusion kind of stories to get like these powerful and awesome endings. The Captain Carter episode and this one both ended with like, holy shit, dude, like this, I want to explore this in like the actual MCU. But I'm so glad we get these like one-off episodes of What If, because it definitely works. So I'm so glad we're getting a season 3. Number 6, the finale. The finale of this is weird because Strange Supreme shows up and he's like, I've been collecting all the world killers to basically revive his own world. And all the characters he's collecting are like the characters you know and love. It's as if a kid opened his toy box and sprinkled all his action figures on the floor and got 4 of his friends together and just pew, 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 pew. And I shoot you with my megaton infinity laser armor. And I have plus 25 resistance to your infinity super laser beams with my impenetrable armor of the quantum. It's literally that. It is that. It is just, here's all these characters. We can do animation. We don't need to get everyone there because most of them don't talk. It's just on-screen shit. And they're all using their powers, and they're all blasting stuff away. And it is probably one of the coolest things to come out of the MCU. And it's all animated. So it's like everything is working towards it. My only problem is there's not really a substance to it other than like beam fights and hodgepodges of these characters you know and love. So that's why it comes in at number 6 for me, because the finale of the first season was freaking awesome. It was amazing. Infinity Ultron was such a great bad guy, and the finale of this basically undermines him as a character completely. So that's why it falls a little short for me. This next one I'm a little disappointed at my ranking of, because I did really like the episode, but stacking it up against the other episodes, I'm partial to some of the other episodes. This is the first hero we get originally created for the MCU. I don't think this character exists other than maybe like the Future Fight mobile app, which is awesome. You should check that out. And like Marvel Puzzle Quest, I think she's in, but I think it's completely spawned from the MCU. I think she's an MCU original character. Kaori, Native American heroes, the Mohawk tribe, which they actually put a little shout out that they like consulted the tribes and like actually like got help from them to make sure they didn't do anything offensive, I think, or step over any lines. So it was a super good episode, and I kind of don't know why they went all out for their own original character and didn't put it in a movie, didn't put her in a movie, because if this plot was stretched out to like 2 hours, it would be very good. It would, or like an hour and a half, like 90 minutes, but live action is really what we could have used for this Kaori episode, because she rules, the environments rule. They get like, in the episode, they find like what the Spanish call the Fountain of Youth, which takes them to this other realm where they basically gain the powers. The Mohawk tribe gains the powers of the Tesseract, or the Space Stone. I think it's in the MCU. It's the Space Stone. So they can just like run really fast and have all these superpowers, and it's really cool to explore, but we only get 30 minutes with it, so I don't know. I feel like we should have gotten an entire movie, but that's just me. It falls a little short compared to the other episodes. That's all I'm trying to say. I love the episode, but compared, I don't know. I like Nova. I like fucking. We didn't get Nova, but I like the Nova Corps. I like the Christmas episode. 1602 was amazing. The Captain Carter, I liked the sequel, and the Hela episode. There's just, all the episodes are great, except for these last two, which number 8 is Star-Lord, Peter Quill, Chris Pratt, is sent back to Earth as a kid by Ego, because instead of Yondu keeping him as his kid, he hands him off to Kurt Russell Ego, like he was tasked to do, like we find out in Guardians 2. But instead of that, he hands him over to Ego, and Ego basically gives him celestial powers as a kid and goes, go spread my goo, go spread my seed across the universe, because I'm doing the enlightenment. I don't know what it's called. I have no idea what the thing is called, but he's trying to, like, Ego in the second Guardians movie is trying to take over the universe by planting little bits of him on each of the planets, and he's using celestial kids to do it. This episode actually executes on that, and we do get a cool version of the Avengers in, like, the 80s who are fighting, like, celestial powered kid Star-Lord, which is cool, but I don't know. The coolest part was having them, like, those Avengers are like, it's like Morpheus from the Matrix. I don't know why I can't think of his name, but he's playing Goliath, who's basically Giant Man. We get Hank Pym. We get T'Chaka, who's Chadwick Boseman's character's T'Challa, Black Panther's dad, who dies in Civil War. God, I watch way too much of this shit. The episode felt a little short, but those Avengers were the coolest part of that, because it was a different Avengers group, and it was set in, like, the 80s, so it was fun to explore. My least favorite episode, and the episode that got cut from season 1, is the coolest premise, but it's like falls short because you just want it to be that way in the normal MCU. It's basically, what if Tony Stark, when he flies through the portal in New York to drop the nuke on the Chitauri, not T'Chari. When he flies through the portal to drop the nuke on the Chitauri, he gets trapped in space and then ends up on Sakaar, which is the planet from Thor Ragnarok, home of one Jeff Goldblum, the Grand Master, which I know this isn't higher on my list because Jeff Goldblum absolutely killed it as the Grand Master in this episode, hands down, was the best part. But it's just basically like I don't know. I wanted this concept to exist. Like, Tony Stark actually gets trapped in space is a great concept, and then it just becomes Thor Ragnarok again. And it's like, oh, this is kind of lame. Like, he teams up with Meek and Korg and Valkyrie, and, like, are they even there? It's like 10 years go by, like, since that. Like, pretty much, like, since the first Avengers. Have they just been on Sakaar that whole fucking time? I don't know. But I can see why it got cut, because it was basically just, like, a fun episode that had no stakes, but we needed Gamora in the finale of season 1 and in Thanos' armor, so I don't know. If we had gotten this in season 1, I probably would have said it was a good episode, but because we're getting it now and we already know Gamora, like, teamed up with Iron Man, and, like, he has the Sakaar Hulkbuster armor, like, we already got all this, and I don't know, we got the end goal, and now we had to, like, watch it. So, but I already know where they ended up. So it's like I didn't feel like I needed to watch it. I don't know. But that's my 2 cents. That's What If Season 2. That's episode by episode. I feel like that's the best way to do this. We did get a Season 3 promo, which I thought was the funniest thing ever, with Red Guardian, who's David Harbour's character from the Black Widow movie, and Sebastian Stan, Winter Soldier, from The Winter Soldier. And they're, like, in a high-speed chase in, like, America, because I don't know what they're trying to do. They're like, promo is so short, but it seemed like a fun time. So I can't wait for season 3. Yeah, go watch season 2 so we get more. We're already getting more, but go watch it anyway, because it was great. Disney Plus. These ones are a little longer than what we just did, Pokemon Concierge, where that was, like, 10 minutes longer than just one What If episode. So, yeah. We'll be back tomorrow with Cinemagasm. We'll be back in video form where you can see our stupid Elgo faces. And Bean will be back on the channel. So if you only subscribe for Bean, then don't worry. We'll be back to normal tomorrow. But until then, yeah. Subscribe, comment. If you watched What if you didn't, I'd recommend 1602 in the Christmas episode. And if you're not hooked, sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. But this does require MCU homework. It does. It unfortunately does, even though these are just one-offs that you could pick up if they were comic books off the shelf and just start reading. But it does require homework. But anyway, until tomorrow, bye. We don't outro. This is why we don't outro. Writing, not really much to go on. The music, stellar, kick-ass. That Pokemon Concierge theme song is so good, and I don't know why. But yeah, definitely a big surprise from Netflix here. Unexpected, to say the least.